Welcome, traveler. My name is Winkari, and this is The Journey, a Guild Wars 2 podcast. A cozy stop along the road where we share adventures, stories, and the latest news and updates as we reflect on the world of Tyria. Pull up a chair, warm yourself by the fire, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of The Journey. My name is Winkari. This is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, this is kind of my general routine. I do 2 a month, roughly, and I record these episodes on Thursdays, and usually by the time I get them finished and edited, they go out Thursday evening, and I'm in Central Standard Time in the U.S. So I know a lot of you guys listen to this the following morning, which would be Friday the 20th, but whichever day it is you're listening, I appreciate you being here. In this episode 9, I discuss my experience in the Lunar New Year Holiday event, as well as the title of our episode suggests, a slight do-over, which I will talk about later in the episode. My IRL updates for this episode: we had the Super Bowl, and we actually hosted a little get-together, a party at our home, about, 20 of us. And it was a good time, but to be honest, for anyone who watched the game, it was kind of a dud, sports-wise, but it was fun hanging out with people. My wife went crazy during the halftime show with, Bad Bunny. For those of you who don't know, my wife is a Spanish teacher, so she was jumping and dancing and screaming. She loved the halftime show, very entertaining. We're also getting a lot of warm weather in Wisconsin, abnormally warm weather. We've been getting upper 50s and even lower 60s, which is very not normal for this part of the U.S. this time of the year. Also had Valentine's Day just a few days ago. Happy belated Valentine's Day to you all. Very fortunate myself to have a spouse, and we actually weren't planning on doing anything, but one of my sisters took our kids to go see a show. So we got a few hours together, which very, very rarely happens as parents of 2 young children. So I went to have a simple lunch at a diner, walked around our local town, which was nice. Finally, I started reading Ghosts of Ascalon. If you're not familiar, Guild Wars created 3 books, kind of a trilogy of sorts, as a prelude to Guild Wars 2 before it came out. And I've never read them, always wanted to, finally pulled the trigger, bought the Kindle edition, and just dove in. Ghosts of Ascalon is the first one if you want to check that out. I'm only a chapter in, but I will definitely give my general review when I finish that one. That's all for the stuff at the beginning of our episode. Let's jump into the episode proper with our first segment, Waypoint Unknown. If you're brand new to the episode and you're unfamiliar with Waypoint Unknown, this is the segment where we start out every show broadcasting from a very specific location within Tyria. I'm going to describe my surroundings, and you, the listener, are going to try to guess, before I give it away at the end, where we are. So, in this Waypoint Unknown, I'm looking at a tall, 2-story stone building, and there's a door with a torch outside lit as I enter this building. I look around, there are some workers standing about, a seraph soldier. There is a table with some food and candles. And if I walk to the corner of the first floor, there is Innkeeper Lindy hanging out, manning the kitchen. There's a meal for a seraph captain on the kitchen counter. I go to look, there's a basement. As I walk down into it, in the cellar, there is worker Edward standing about, a bunch of casks of clearly alcohol, as well as some bags of flour, etc. There's also a second floor, as I mentioned earlier, and I walk up those stairs, and there is a woman named Heidi, as well as a citizen sleeping on one of the beds. And Heidi is staring at a piece of artwork of an individual geared up, looking out into the sky, looking like maybe the mountains as well. And then that second floor also has a patio balcony of sorts where there's a worker and citizen conversing as well. Did you get enough clues? If you haven't figured it out already, we are broadcasting from the region of Kryta, the zone of Harathi hinterlands, and our location for today's Waypoint Unknown is Seraph's Landing Inn. Hope you got that one right. I think the most obvious giveaway probably would have been Innkeeper Lindy and the meal for the Seraph Captain, if you're really familiar with this area. But that's it. Let's move on to the Mulligan.
Are you new around here?
In this segment, we discuss anything that I might have overlooked in a previous episode, maybe made an error on, or just was downright incorrect on. And for this episode, there's only one that came to mind. In the last episode, I said that I had played through the first 3 expansions before recently returning to Guild Wars 2 a few months ago, but it's actually not true. I misspoke. I actually only played through the first 2 expansions. The second expansion, Path of Fire, I stopped around halfway through. In my mind, I think I was including the base game when I said 3, right? Kind of main base game, Heart of Thorns, then Path of Fire. That's my excuse anyway. Never actually finished Path of Fire. As I said, I ended about halfway through and haven't played it for years and years and years until coming back recently. Let's check out the news.
Any interesting news?
One of the big news changes in this couple-week cycle is fashion templates. We talked about this last episode. They kind of recreated, changed functionality, UI, etc. And there's been a lot of hubbub about it. Some people love it, some people hate it, take issue with the functionality, some people think it's worse, etc. So the first thing ArenaNet did was release a feature explanation article, which you can find on their website at guildwars2.com, to help you understand how you can utilize and understand it currently. I'm not going to read any specific details on that, though, because just days later, I think within the week, ArenaNet saw how much the fan base, the user base, was taking issue with a lot of the functionality, at the very least in how it seemingly was confusing for a lot of people. They made another post on their forums saying that there are going to be some changes to their fashion template. And what they said was that live now, currently, is that changing skins and fashion templates no longer requires a transmutation charge if the new skin matches the currently equipped skin. Also, the first-time experience pop-up for fashion templates now reflects the new behavior of the Get Equipped fashion option. Moving forward to March, just beforehand, so right before March, they're letting us know that the fashion templates column will be removed from the context menu above the weapon swap button. They said that we want to help prevent accidental overwrites of current fashion templates, and this is the fastest way to do that. You'll still be able to set hotkeys to quickly swap between templates, and you'll be looking into ways to bring this menu back at a later date. The Get Equipped Fashion button will be accessible with fewer clicks. This feature is frequently used, but is hidden with a right-click context menu. We are going to surface it and make it easier to use. Also before March, dye validation will be adjusted to reduce invalid dye selected warnings. This can occur when an applied skin has fewer dye channels than the previous used skin. And finally, before March, a Get Equipped Fashion option will be added to the right-click menu of individual cosmetic slots. This will make it even easier to make changes to a single piece of equipment. From mid-March to mid-April, looking forward for changes, is that the outfit visibility toggle will be set to off by default in fashion templates. Currently, enabling and disabling outfits requires too many clicks, and outfits could appear when not intended. Similar issues will be addressed further when the current tab improvement is implemented. Next, the feature tutorial pop-up will be altered to be more concise and more helpful. Win-win. And then, with the next quarterly update that's in May, so that's a longer term, a few months from now, these are the changes upcoming for the fashion template. A current tab, also referred to as tab 0 in some of the feedback from people, will be implemented into the wardrobe feature. So instead of just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's going to be a 0, a current tab, and where you can edit your current fashion independent of any fashion templates. This addresses various user experience concerns all at once, rather than approaching each of them individually. Also in May, they're going to be adding mounts, gliders, and conjured doorways to fashion templates, as they previously discussed. They said it's also important to note that details and timelines may shift as they progress through the work, so keep that in mind. Overall, they believe these changes will significantly improve the functionality of fashion templates and make the whole experience of customizing your characters more seamless. That is the goal. This is their note to you. Thank you for helping us improve fashion templates and making Guild Wars 2 a better game. So, I really don't have much comments on this as a returning player. Fashion's not even close to the forefront of my mind, so I can't give any real lived experience, feedback, or criticism. But I know that you can. If you're a longtime player or you use this currently, let me know. Write me on social media, write me through an email, comment on one of the episodes. Would love to know your thoughts on the big change, their upcoming changes. Are you kind of yay? Are you nay? Let me know. Next, World vs. World scoring in beta test. This is one of their new announcements as well. Their war score system is being reworked to reward active gameplay instead of passive objective holding. Sounds like a good change. Objective holding will no longer grant passive points during the beta test. Players will instead earn war score through active actions, like it said, including things like capturing objectives with increased rewards, defending objectives, killing guards, building siege equipment, downing and reviving players. War score gains will scale based on objective type, upgrades, and defender presence. The changes are part of a temporary beta event, and developers may adjust or roll them back based on feedback. This beta test is going to run about 5 weeks, beginning with team creation moving earlier to February 27th, returning to normal scheduling April 3rd. Quality of life updates arriving alongside the test include waypoints unlocked in Home Borderland and Eternal Battleground spawn, keeps without upgrades, changes to reduce spawn camping issues, and World vs. World access to infinite utility and metabolic primers. A second beta test is planned, adding end-of-match rewards to make winning more meaningful. Developers also plan skirmish-level rewards, so shorter play sessions still feel rewarding. Future work will revisit the participation system to further reward active play, and long-term plans include new World vs. World gameplay content, yes please, or refreshed mechanics tested via beta events. Myself, again, can't give too much feedback on this one. When I played back in the day, I do remember playing World vs. World. Didn't play a lot of it. It was fun. It was definitely a Zerg fest. I remember back in the day. I also liked exploring the maps. I recall there being some jumping puzzles, but can't really give feedback till I jump in there myself. But it sounds like this is a long overdue thing for the game. Look forward to seeing the changes and hopefully making it better for us. Let's move on to upcoming events and check out the calendar.
My time is precious.
Only a couple things to check out on our calendar this episode. First is Lunar New Year. We're going to be talking about that later in the episode, but that's currently going on. If you haven't checked it out yet, do it now. You only got about 5 days until February 24th to participate in the events, achievements, rewards through the Wizard's Vault, etc. So make sure you check it out. A lot of fun. And second is Return to Janthier Wilds. My understanding as I've come back to the game is they kind of rotate these, where it's kind of like an incentive for doing specific content, or if you're a new player to jump in those places for the first time. From February 24th to March 10th, this is going on, where completing specific achievements from Daily Return to Janthier Wilds and Return to Janthier Wilds, players will receive in-game boost Returning Hero Boost, where you will earn increased rewards in target maps during return events, a plus 30% experience gain from all sources, and a plus 50% magic find. Now let's move on to the Wizard's Vault and its astral rewards.
How are your endeavors progressing?
As I said just a few seconds ago, the only real thing I want to highlight for our Wizards Vault and Astro Rewards right now is the Lunar New Year special objectives. Every quarter they have special objectives to get Astral Acclaim, and if you missed last episode, there are a few in there that are time sensitive to this event. To my knowledge, I believe I completed all the main ones from Lunar New Year off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but they reward a lot of Astral Acclaim, so if you haven't already done those, you have about 5 days left, so please do that if you want those rewards or Astral Acclaim to go alongside them. Let's move on to the Lion's Share, our segment where we discuss all things Black Lion Trading Company.
I've got deals you won't believe.
As discussed a few minutes earlier, Valentine's Day happened just a few days ago, and with that there are some emotes, some new ones in town. Love is in the air, so show off your quirky cuteness with the Cute Poses emote tome. This is a new emote pack that has a shy, peace, heart, and sassy emotes, some poses that you do. That is available currently on the gem store for 600 gems. Shared inventory slots are also available at a 20% discount until February 24th. Mount adoption licenses and mount packs are also 20% off, and that offer will last until February 27th. Next, the mischievous Ferret Warclaw skin has been announced. Ferret Warclaws are known for their playful and prankish behavior. They are extremely energetic, but also love sleeping for long periods during the day. With a mount like this, you won't run out of funny and fluffy surprises. They wrote that, not me. The mischievous Ferret Warclaw skin is now available in the gem store for 1,600 gems. And last but not least, they are shuffling their stock of mount and skiff skins this week, starting on the 20th, that is tomorrow, Friday, February 20th. These items are 20% off until March 6th. That just about does it for all our news and updates. Let's move into the main bulk of our show, our Tales of Tyria.
I have so much to tell you.
So I have a confession to make. As we jump into our Tales of Tyria segment of our show, you must know that in previous MMOs I have been what you might call an alt-aholic, where I can never decide fully on what character, race, profession, etc. that I want. And what you're about to hear is a little bit of a byproduct of that type of mentality. When I play an MMO, I want it to be the right character, the right race, the right profession, etc. And if it feels off, or I made a choice that I really didn't like that might have long-term implications, you have to go back and change it. So, if you're reading between the lines, our episode is called A Slight Do-Over, and that's what we're talking about right now. If you remember from last episode, in my personal story, I left off in the Chantry of Secrets. That's the Order of Whispers headquarters. And I walked around, I talked to the characters, how they like to operate in the shadows as their main mission. And I really instantly realized that their aesthetic, their mission, didn't really jive with me. I've come to learn that I'm a huge story, a huge lore nerd, especially when it comes to how I play MMOs. And after some thought, I realized that I would have preferred to have chosen the Derman Priory instead. And before you jump on me for this and remind me, hey, it's not that much of long-term implications, etc., it's important to me. So, I re-rolled my character. Yes, I did that. And not only did I do that so that I could choose the Derman Priory, I also reflected on playing the warrior that I was playing, which I did enjoy, but it felt kind of samey in terms of its mechanics. I do like that it was simple, maybe just a little too simple, maybe too one-note. So I decided to not only re-roll to choose the Derman Priory, but I re-rolled a Guardian. Yes, this is what I did. I started over, that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. Luckily, I didn't have to start from scratch per se. I played this, like I said earlier, years prior. I had a bunch of experience scrolls that I could use. It leveled me to where I needed to be level-wise. All I had to do was the personal story quests over again, which really didn't take that long, but it also gave me the opportunity to make some changes in terms of which ones I chose. The first change was that I chose my biggest regret being that I never recovered my sister's body instead of the circus. And once I got to chapter 2 of my personal story, Logan tells me that the Falcon Company, the same company that my sister was a soldier in, was wiped out by a centaur ambush. Again, this is where the story delineates. He tells me that the scouts in the Queen's Forest discovered pages torn from an old journal that were written by Willem Harrington, a member of Falcon Company. It describes survivors of the battle taken captive by the centaurs, and thinking that my sister might be alive, I go to Elven Monastery to speak to Captain Trevelyan, who's been promoted to Captain of Queensdale and once commanded Falcon Company. Once I'm there, the centaur attack, and when I try to converse with them, or afterward I converse with him specifically, I defeat their leader, and Trevelyan wonders how they knew that I was there. Interesting. Little foreshadowing, if you're really paying attention. He begrudgingly agrees to help me find out what happened to Falcon Company and spare some soldiers, so I'm already kind of thinking this guy's on my radar for maybe not so forthcoming of a character. I meet up later with Sergeant Bigsby nearby, and he happens to know my sister. He knew her. He was stationed there a few months ago, and she helped him figure out how to be a good seraph. He says there's rumors about nobody ever knowing how the centaurs found out about the Falcon's patrol route and why the company was sent out alone. Alongside him, I fight off the centaur and discover that a soldier's journal is left behind, and it has his sister's name in it, and accuses Trevelyan of being a traitor. Bigsby gives me the option to confront Trevelyan directly at an Etten cave nearby, or I can go tell Logan, and I'm thinking, that's a weird choice. Oh, I figured it out. I'm gonna go, get the authorities. Help me, Logan. I just thought, I think we can handle this. So I chose to confront him directly. Once I reach this cave, he confirms that he did in fact sell out Falcon Company for his own greedy gain and releases Ettins on me. I defeat them, I revive Bigsby nearby, and outside the cave Logan defeats Trevelyan, and I confront him again. He says that he also did what he did to get money from a rich politician with a vendetta against a queen. Interesting. And that he signed his letters Minister Arton and ordered him to send the Falcons into the ambush. This way he could use their deaths to blame the Queen for wasting troops and funds in Ebonhawk. So I return to Divinity's Reach to talk to Queen Jenna and warn her, and she takes the minister into house arrest when he claims that he's innocent while they investigate it further. Logan says a seraph named Hal transferred out of the company after the ambush and patrols the eastern edge of Divinity's Reach and asks me to check him out. So I do. I head over there, and when I speak to him, he tells me that he was the messenger in all of the shady dealings but didn't know who he was dealing with on the other end, and tells me to talk to Dansky at Black Haven. After helping Dansky defend the fort from bandits, I talk to her. She says that Minister Arton was supposed to receive the letters but never actually received them, but doesn't know who they went to. She says to check a bandit camp nearby that deals in slave trade, and if there were prisoners, that they may be there. So I head over to the cave, and there Logan is there also. I explain to him that someone tried to frame Minister Arton, but we don't know who. Logan tells me that Jenna took the throne at a young age after her father died. For the few years it took her to settle into the ministry, for the few years it took her to settle in, the ministry had control and was difficult to convince them to give it up again, which explains kind of some of the stuff that's going on. After I defeat the bandits, they tell me that Minister Caudicus was behind it all, which is interesting because you don't learn this if you take the other story plots and personal story. But, nefarious Minister Caudicus. It was him all along. Also, and more importantly, I actually find my sister, Deborah. Now this leads me to our Hidden in Plain Sight.
How interesting.
In our Hidden in Plain Sight segment, I discuss anything that's in-game that is maybe overlooked, secretive, or as it suggests, just plain hidden in plain sight. As it relates to Deborah specifically, I wouldn't have found this out if I hadn't looked it up online, but this is a really cool thing they did in-game. A few story beats before this section of your personal story of Chapter 3, you're at the main area that Logan hangs out in Divinity's Reach. I don't remember the name of the location. It's the Ministry Room, or I don't know what. But when you're there, there's actually an option that they give you to sign what your heritage is. So you can let them know as you're kind of signing their census of sorts, whether your heritage is Ascalonian, whether it's Canthan, Elonian, or Crichton. So me thinking, oh, that's kind of a cool D&D backstory way of kind of making your character RP a bit. I chose Crichton because that's what kind of I think my character looked the most like, felt the most like, so that's what I chose, thinking nothing of it. But according to Wiki, this is pretty awesome. Depending on which one you choose, it actually changes the appearance of your sister Deborah in-game, depending on what your heritage is, which I think is just a really, really nice touch. And not only that, no spoilers here, but my understanding is she also plays a role later in the main game as well, which I have to look forward to. So that's our Hidden in Plain Sight for this episode. Let's move on to Personal Story Chapters 3 and 4. As I said earlier, I had the opportunity to do the alternate timeline or alternate parts of the stories within Personal Story, and one of those was Lichmere Croft, where I did the Vigil option. And one of the things I learned there was that when Sylvari die, they don't come back from the dead to serve Zaitan like the other races do. Interesting. But the Priory doesn't know why. Crusader Hiroki thinks that the goddess Melandru created the Sylvari to fight by their side. And tactician Serena says that from Awakening, the Sylvari know they must fight the dragons. Like they just know that. So maybe there's truth to Hiroki's theory. Later on, we get to the Alastia Crow decision, and this time I decided to go the Talk to the Spirit of Alastia Crow option. So I traveled to Gandharn Fields again. I met with Scholar Josir and Priestess Rai. She tells me that the gods have left, but no one knows for certain where. She says perhaps they simply want to allow us to decide our own fates. Interesting theory. She says that Grenth is the god of death and ice and is the son of Dwayna, but became a god by his own hand, and she serves him. Interesting. We enter a cave and perform this ritual, and while summoning her spirit, I had to fend off evil spirits, and afterward, Alastia Crow appears, and she says that she lied to Kellic, if you remember, that soldier, because he was slaughtering her crew. That explains why she lied, which I was kind of confused about back in the day. And the reason she told him to get blood from the Queen specifically was because she felt betrayed that the monarchy didn't do anything to help their starving crew, or save them when the risen ships attacked them on the high sea. Which is nice to finally get closure from me as to what her motivations were towards harming the Queen in the original, or in the first place, because we don't get that on the other side of the story. After this, I go to defend Queen Jenna, and after I chose the Priory, which was one of the main reasons I did this, in this version of it, I use one of their magical inventions to take out Kellic. It gives me this new hotbar with magical abilities, but to be honest, they were pretty weak. I think this is something ArenaNet needs to go back and revisit, because it took a long time to take him and his minions out. Afterwards, Scholar Josir tells me that he will write a glowing review to Steward Gix, the leader of the Priory. After seeing the confrontation again with Destiny's Edge in Old Lion's Arch, I receive a letter from my contact in the Priory, Magister Siren, and to meet her in Lion's Arch. Once there, I meet Gix, which was a bit surprising considered this is the leader of the Priory. There wasn't any lead up, it was just like him chilling outside the tavern. He was there though. I guess I was expecting a grander lead up to it, you know. There he gives me my introduction to the Priory.
The Dermond Priory is a bastion of history, containing the collected wisdom of the ages. For 200 years, we've stood upon a foundation of lore, research, and exploration. When Lion's Arch was flooded by the rise of the nation of Or, our forebearers rescued the city's survivors. We salvaged knowledge that would otherwise have been lost. Now, as the dragons ravage ever greater expanses of Tyria, we must do even more. We must discover the truths that Tyria needs to survive. Where the dragons came from, why, and how to end their threat. The Priory is dedicated to learning. Siren, one of our most cunning scholars, will provide tutelage to help you gain wisdom that you will need. Dermond, our founder, said it best. Your power is only equal to the sum of your knowledge. If that's true, then we're Tyria's best hope to survive the darkness gathering on the horizon. Welcome to the Dermond Priory.
See, now, when I'm listening to that audio clip or when I watch the video for the first time, the things that were said in that video as it relates to the video that was played for the Order of Secrets perfectly encapsulates why I prefer the Dermond Priory. If you remember with the Chantry of Secrets, or the Order of Whispers rather, they talk about how we don't care where the dragons came from or why they're here, but our secrets will send them back to hell. Didn't really connect with me. That's fine if it does for you, right? But this one conversely says, oh, basically knowledge is power, right? Lore is helpful. When we know more, we can do better. And that very much jived with me, not just personally, but as it relates to being kind of a story first, a lore nerd. That very much jived with me. Moving on, after I watched that video, I finally meet Siren for the first time. My new mentor, this Sylvari, says that she wants to make a stop at an old dwarven tomb on the way to bringing me to Priory headquarters, and I oblige. I meet up with her in Lorner's Pass, outside the tomb. She tells me that the dwarves are almost extinct, but in their time knew a lot about the dragons. She also says that Keck's old scrolls said this was the tomb of a dwarven prince, and that when she realizes the dredge are nearby, she explains that they were once enslaved by the dwarves and will now destroy anything dwarven. Speaking of the dredge, we then get ambushed by them, we defeat 3 of them, and Siren tells me that the dwarves were once split into 2 factions. Stone Summit were cruel xenophobes who often clashed with the more open Deldrimor dwarves. They also turned themselves to stone to defeat their foe. The only dwarf left above in Tyria is Ogden Stonehealer, this person is part of the Priory. Convenient. They also had a big magic tome called the Tome of the Rubicon, which prophesied that the dwarves would meet the Great Destroyer in battle and be lost to the depths. The Great Destroyer is a champion of the dragon Primordius, and to fight him, they turned to stone, went deep underground where they battle still. I think I vaguely remember doing this in Guild Wars 1, but that was many, many, many years ago. As we enter the tomb, we stumble upon other Priory members who had been captured by the dredge and said that no one was supposed to know about their expedition. We lied and, of course, said that Gix had sent us, and we happen upon the dredge leader who attacks us, and after defeating him, he tells us that they found a relic that was a sword, and they sent it to the southern ruins hoping to find a way to destroy it. Siren suggests that we show the writing on the other relics to Gix and head back to the Priory. Before we leave, she says that she believes the relics are Stone Summit relics, and that she thinks the sword likely represents an awful lot of trouble. When I arrive to the Priory, I first speak to Scholar Caterin. She says that in Jotun's Stella writings, they found references to a sextet of swallowers who are said to have consumed the world several times over. Interesting. Her interpretation is that they are living through another incarnation of this phenomenon, and is not convinced that they will come out of this with their civilization intact. Is this reference to Guild Wars 2? Maybe this is some foreshadowing to a reset with Guild Wars 3? I don't know. I next came across a Mordrem researcher. He tells me that I can exchange Mordrem blooms for items, and these are found when the Mordrem invades. Unfortunately, unless I'm misreading this, according to the wiki, it says these events no longer happen and were a limited event back in 2015. So someone message me and give me some clarification on this one. Nearby Scholar Trueclaw says that the Jotun, Mursat, Forgotten, Seers, and Dwarves fought against the Elder Dragons the first time and survived. It's accepted that there were 5 sentient races who fought them and that she's studying them, looking for hints among the relics. She clarifies then after that, though, that there were only 5 races that she knows of. They have the Dwarven Tome of the Rubicon, which we talked about earlier, but it has changed over the years through copying and recopying as the physical material of the tome degraded over time, and that political factors may have played a role as well. Next we meet with Gix, and he tells us the relic says that the sword taken is the Sanguinary Blade, a legendary sword made of frozen dragon's blood. It was lost when the Stone Summit dwarves vanished. Kecht says that the prince's name was Dagnar Stonepate, which I'm assuming he's referring to the owner of the sword. Afterward, I decide to explore the rest of the Priory. I first came across the library, who I talked to Scholar Wiki, which I immediately thought, is this a reference to the Guild Wars 2 Wikipedia? And I knew it had to be. They say, I hope you're finding all the information you could possibly need and more. And when I ask if I can have a copy of their book, I reply, not on me, but I reference it often. Okay, yeah. They say there's a copy here in the library somewhere. Ignore the knockoffs. There's only one official version of Wiki's official guide to Tyria. They even mentioned that they had an amazing crew working with them on it, much like, I think, how the real-world Wiki is crowdsourced and is a team effort. I thought that was a nice little touch. There's also a bajillion books in this library. I just want to highlight a few. First is a Dragon Primer by Ogden Stonehealer, who we talked about earlier. It says, while awake, elder dragons soak up magic like sponges. Okay. While sleeping, dragons release magic into the world. So it kind of seems like a cycle of magic, right? Last time, the seer saved aside some magic in the Bloodstone. Okay. And they go back to sleep when Tyria is drained and magic gradually seeps back into the world. So, it begs the question, does this mean that we need to give them all the magic and they will leave? Is it that simple? Next is a ponderous tome. There is a twinned nature, it says, between Lyssa and the dead or disposed gods Abaddon and Doom. A twinned nature. So I'm thinking, what does that mean? Next, there is the Aiden Journal. A few highlights in this journal. It says, city life is confining and worst, civilized. The houses and shops kill the wind. The air stagnates with a stench of imprisoned animals. That's not the life for me. That's why I became a ranger. When I was young, my father would send me to the marketplace, and I'd trudge there like it was a punishment. Now, when the spirit takes me, I run to the other side of Kryta. A farmer plods, but a ranger runs. Every road is freedom, and I am free. I move in a swirl of flashing blades. As the river must flow, so must I keep running, because I answer to no law save that of the wild. Survival of the swiftest. Play on words of survival of the fittest, right? You who read these words undoubtedly long after my death, if they stir your heart, then you must run with me. The open road awaits you, the wilderness calls to you. Answer it, and run with me. I like the writing to that one. And not only did I like the writing, but this also brings us to today's Echoes of Tyria, a segment where we discuss something we come across in-game that has to do with some lore.
Knowledge is the greatest treasure.
I knew that after reading this part of Aiden's journal, there had to be more to this character, and sure enough, Wiki did not let me down. It says, the son of a huntsman, Aiden grew up with a quiver of arrows on his back. His mother died giving birth to him while his family was on a wagon train from Kryta to Ascalon. As soon as the boy was old enough to hold a bow in one hand, Aiden's father packed up just the good steel heads of their tools, and the two men headed off into the wild. They found a spot in the middle of a forest clearing, refitted their tools with hand-carved handles, and built their own home from scratch. Aiden, born either 1039 or 1040 AE, is an adventurer that travels with Devona, Menlo, Sin, and Eve. Those are some familiar names if you played the first game. It says, when he was a child, his father was killed by Char as he hid in the woods. In search for revenge and to remove his guilt, Aiden hunted Char after Char and soon became obsessed with killing them. After some time, he began to realize the difference between vengeance and obsession, and swore never to blur the line of good and evil again. Alongside Devona, Sin, and Menlo, he met Eve in a graveyard while being chased by Char, and the group later joined Prince Rurik in an assault against the Char, eventually joining the Ascalonian migration to Kryta. Afterward, the group traveled across Tyria, partaking in various world-changing events such as the Flame Seeker prophecies, Shiro Tagachi's return, Nightfall, and the rise of the Great Destroyer. During their travels, Aiden held the position of being the wisest in the group and used his experience in life to aid them when he thought necessary, a position he quickly gave up in Cantha to Togo. While in Cantha, though, he was glad to aid Menlo, he was often worried about his home having to get by without his aid. Aiden is last seen with his group during Gwen and Kieran Thackeray's wedding. So there you go. Some Guild Wars 1 throwback for our Echoes of Tyria segment. Next, a book we came across was called Scarlet Briar, A Brief by Priory Scholar Dawn. I do recall this being part of Living World Season 1, but I never finished it back in the day, so I wanted to read a little bit of this one. It says her name upon awakening was Sierra or Sierra, which she eventually rejected along with her roots. Okay, so there's a story there. She worked with each of the Asuran colleges, allowing them to study her cognitive abilities while introducing her to advanced Asuran philosophies and knowledge. Other mentors trained her in more technical skills, including Bagarth, a Norn who now lives in Holbreck. Following her time with an Asura named Omad, she took the self-made name of Scarlet Briar and severed her ties to the Pale Tree and the Dream. So we got some backstory now when we meet her. Next is Leyline Theory number 671. It says the existence of ley lines has long been theorized, and they have had many names. In 1316, a Solvari named Sira, alias Scarlet Briar, found proof. Okay. My own research supports the hypothesis that ley lines are currents of moving magical energy within the great sea of the eternal alchemy. Magic, like air or water, supports life and surrounds us, as air surrounds land-based creatures and water surrounds aquatic creatures. But it is not stagnant. It ebbs and flows in currents that swirl around us, unseen and unfelt. There is evidence that the paths of these ley lines can be disrupted and changed, just as the path of a river can be changed when obstructed. That sounds like some foreshadowing. Next, Rising Stars. This text claims to be an interpretation of an ancient Jotun writing. Is it Jotun or Jotun? I'll find out later. A poetic description of powerful forces that can move the very stars with their might. Also, gotta be some foreshadowing. Next, a discourse on a tome. It says there's a discourse between two people, and it ends by both agreeing that there is merit to the idea that an earthquake will destroy the dwarven holdings, and they will be forced to move, rebuild, and renew themselves. I mean, from what we've learned so far, they're pretty much all underground and stoned except Ogden's Stone Healer, so is this... I don't know, is this a Guild Wars 1 event that I don't recall, or is this something to happen in the future? We shall see. And last but not least, Verahar Fell's notebook. It says, discovered frozen in ice, this book contains encrypted notes. No one knows exactly what it's for, who wrote it, or even how long ago it was. That's it. I mean, that's gotta come into play later in the game. I guarantee you, right? Historian Trib in the library next tells me that they believe that the answer to how to defeat the Elder Dragons lies with the Jotun. They survived the last attack, but have also lost much of their knowledge. They used to be an intelligent, educated race, but they bred those qualities out of themselves. Interesting. Later, I came across the aforementioned Wiki's official guide to Tyria in the dorm section, and it says that known history puts it over 11,000 years old when Giganticus Lupicus, love that name, last roamed the world. However, the earliest known human life did not appear until 786 BE. There are 3 known continents and an unknown number of unexplored ones. Of course there is, it's an MMO, right? Beneath Tyria runs a subterranean network of tunnels linked by Asura gates. I mean, I played War Within in World of Warcraft. I mean, to my knowledge, they haven't done that in Guild Wars 2, but maybe they'll do that for one of their expansions. I think that would make sense to an underground expansion. Just a thought. In the warehouse nearby, Scholar Stin tells me they believe that the Giganticus Lupicus was wiped out by the Elder Dragons. Okay, good to know. And that was pretty much the summation of my time in the Priory. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I think it was more affirmation that I chose the right order for me. It gave a lot of great lore. I really liked the layout, the characters, and like I said, just made me feel like I was in the right place for me. Next, I met up with Siren as part of my personal story at Mist-Riven Gorge to track down the sword. Inside, I had to run across these rock faces and avoid being thrown off by gusty winds, which was a lot of fun. And further in, we come across the ghost of a giant drake. Siren recognizes here some symbols nearby and says that it is the tomb of Dagnar's stone pate of the Stone Summit Dwarves, which, remember, we recall earlier from the Priory. Dagnar killed Rurik, Adalbern's son, destroying the peace between the kingdoms of Kryta and Ascalon. Okay. And she says that it's the ghost. She says the ghost is the ghost of Dagnar's Drake Mount. Next, there's a mini jumping puzzle I do, which I really appreciated, being in a personal story instance, right? That was nice. And at the end of the dungeon, 2 sons of Svanir are there. Stig Frostbeard uses the blade on the other, and he becomes a monstrous version of himself. Stig escapes with the sword, I defeat the other guy, and afterwards Siren explains that the sons of Svanir are dragon cultists, and that the cutting of the sword on the man looked like dragon corruption, corrupting anyone holding on for it for too long. She gives me the option of trying to create a containment device with the Priory's help, or to seek out the original scabbard, and I chose to seek out the original scabbard. I meet up with Siren at False Lake. She tells me that it used to be a great stone summit fortress, but it's been washed away with time. They kept their most valuable artifacts here, and the Priory had retrieved most of them until the pirates moved in. So, we swam past a Quaggan village, fought some bandits, and retrieved the scabbard, which was actually pretty simple and quite boring if I'm honest. And afterwards, Siren says the Priory used a scrying spell to locate Stig and says he's hiding near Black Barrel's mill. So we do just that. We head to the mill, defeat Stig and a bunch of his minions, and take the sanguinary blade back to the Priory. Gix promotes me to Explorer and asks me to choose which race to research between the Skrit, Quaggan, and Hylix, and I chose the Skrit. This next section of the personal story is Chapter 5. It's called Helping Hands. And I have to be honest with you, I technically did the Skrit and I did the Quaggan. I gotta be honest, and this had to do with the whole start and re-roll character. So I'm gonna do the one that I did first, the Skrit, and then I'll do the one that I did with the newer character, the Quaggan. So for the Skrit themselves, we head to the Feral Dens, which is an area you can't actually access in northwestern Harathi hinterlands, which is nice. You get to go there now. Siren says that we are to protect the Skrit from whatever dragon-tinged artifacts they're finding and see if they will join us in fighting the dragons. One of the Skrit leaders leads us deeper into the cave and tells us that they found these eggs deep below and that one of their friends is still down there. Suddenly they hatch of baby destroyers, and we had to take them out. Siren says the destroyers are servants of the dragon Primoris and that a group of heroes fought him long ago. She says that these eggs are perplexing, however, because destroyers usually don't lay eggs, and wonders if there's a destroyer queen lurking about. She also says that usually Primoris animates stone to create its minions, and she believes it must have evolved a new method while being dormant for so long. And also that a band of heroes took it on just as it started to stir. They couldn't kill it, but were able to put it back to sleep, buying us more time. She goes on to say that we can choose between investigating the eggs and maybe save the lost Skrit or ready a bomb to take out the destroyers when they return, and I chose to investigate the eggs and save their friends. So I traveled to hidden Orobon caverns, which we had been to before, and after fighting back grubs and destroyer crabs, we rescue multiple Skrit to the outdoors, and once there, Harpy destroyers ambush us and we defeat them. Siren says that despite dragon minions not usually being able to have the ability to reproduce, Priory records document such creatures and that they were pregnant when they corrupted it, or it might be something new. I respond by saying that we need to take out the queen before she can reproduce more eggs, and back at the cave they gather the explosive powder for the bomb, which would be the other one I didn't choose story-wise. Unfortunately, the Destroyer Queen attacked before the bomb was primed. After fighting it off, they do set off that bomb in the cave as we escape, killing the Destroyer Queen, but also taking some Skrit casualties. In the end, the Skrit promise to join our cause in fighting the dragons, and Siren suggests to head back to the Priory to report in. So that's the Skrit side of it. When I got to do my redo, the alternate story is when I chose the Quaggan, and what's nice about this is even though technically I didn't do it with my new character for the Skrit, you kind of know what's happening in the normal story outside your character. So for this one, I head to Falualu Village, that's fun to say, in Wormwood Lake and Dredgehaunt Cliffs. One of the Quaggan explains that their gatherers have gone missing. Varnos Nariju, I don't know, says that they need food from the gatherers or they won't survive. She also says that Quaggans were driven south by Crate, bad ice, and dragon minions, and since they don't like to fight, they moved south. So they call the cold water and the ice bad ice, right? Not the good ice that's normal or normal forming. Past Keeper Oldu says that they know history and heroes, forgotten magic, and powerful rituals from the depths, but had to leave them behind when they were pushed south. So I told them I look forward to hearing about it once the village is safe. I leave the lake and go to where the gatherers were last seen. Siren says that what they call bad ice is actually ice dragon corruption. We see a mysterious figure in the distance. We follow them into the mountain, and after dodging bad ice and booby traps, the mysterious figure turns out to be a corrupted Quaggan and ambushes us. After we win, we discuss options to defend the village of an attack from Jormag's minions. We can bolster the defenses with magic from the Past Keeper who we talked to, or we can try to recruit an old fighter friend named Baruch, who's a rare Quaggan who actually likes to fight and isn't a pacifist, which to me sounded way more of the interesting of the two, so I chose to recruit the fighter. I head to Sealbracken. When I approach Baruch, he's fighting some animals and invites me to join him in his hunt. Just then, some ice-brewed enemies conveniently attack, we defeat them, and Baruch says he will join us to defend the village if he can see the corruption with his own eyes, so we go to find some. Once inside the mountain, nearby, Baruch sees Quaggan being corrupted with his own eyes, and unfortunately we have to put them all down. He sees that, he joins. Afterward, we head back to Falualu village, and as the eggs start to hatch, we defend the village from the ice brood, defeating wave after wave, culminating in a champion ice brood Coden. They attack, we defeat him, and the Quaggan get their happy ending. Even though there are some casualties, they're able to escape to Lion's Arch. Now, for me, after leveling my warrior and my guardian, doing the personal story and choosing this option and that, yes, it's nice to see different parts, but these different personal story choices that are irreversible, it brings us to today's Dear ArenaNet, a segment where I talk about something that I think is maybe bad, could be improved upon, iterated on in the game. It's basically a ye old letter that we write to them, a strongly worded ye old letter. Dear ArenaNet, after having played this game with multiple races, characters, and professions, I've come to take issue with the fact that we have to re-roll a new character if we want to experience the other choices of our personal story. In my opinion, it's a really tall ask to have to start a character from scratch just to experience story that you've missed, especially with how long it takes you to level up these characters and get to these fork-in-the-road choices. And if that wasn't bad enough, you actually miss out integral pieces to the overall story puzzle when you make exclusive story choices. For example, I would have never understood why Elastia Crow lied to Kellic, or why she had a vendetta against the Crown unless I chose her option of the personal story chapter. Additionally, choosing the Lost Sister option for my human character reveals that Minister Codicus is actually a bad guy, a fact that is missing up to that point in the story when I chose the circus path instead. So here's my suggestion, and it's a simple one. Just like you can go back and play story chapters later in the game, let us go back and play diverging or differing origin missions after we've completed the main story of Corteria. That way we don't have to roll countless characters just to experience them all. I don't know the specific math, but it would be a great quality of life feature to be able to experience them all with just one character, not multiple. Sincerely, Winkari. We now move on to this month's holiday, Lunar New Year. If you haven't already done this, please do so. A lot of fun. It started out by receiving a letter in the mail from Phaedra, whoever that is, to come to Divinity's Reach, and that all proceeds from festival goods will be donated to support citizens displaced by recent events. Don't know what that means. They also said that this year they are welcoming visiting dignitaries from Cantha who want to celebrate their shared traditions, which begs the question, does this rotate each year? Is there a dignitary from a different part of the world each year? I don't know. I also received an invitation to teleport me to Divinity's Reach, but right before I used it, a dynamic event happened nearby the priory where I was that I joined to defeat Orma, Modus Sceleris? Your guess is as good as mine. So Orma is one I had to look up online on Wiki. It revealed that Orma is a Norn Mesmer and member of Modus Sceleris, an elite group of crooks. So what happens is she appears randomly in Fireheart Rise or Lornar's Pass and takes on the appearance of a merchant to fool bypassers. Under these appearances, which include Ushanu, Melinda Fairmore, and Brewmaster Berna, she sells a fake triple luck tonic, which grants rotten luck instead. Confronting that merchant starts the event to defeat Orma of Modus Sceleris, which is the one I happened upon. So I wasn't there for the start of the event when she's disguised as a merchant, but after defeating her there is loot, but nothing special this time. Apparently, you have a chance to have her drop Illusory Rival for the Meteorologicus III Storm Collection. Again, don't know what that means, but it's kind of like a Diet Coke hidden in plain sight there. Afterwards, I did use my invitation to teleport to the events for Lunar New Year rather. And once I got there, upon arrival, I'm directed to welcome Ambassador Naven, which I do. Didn't really give too much info. Next, I'm beckoned nearby to start a raptor race, and funnily on cue, a single-file line of various NPC animals come to line up to race, including a, quote, horse, which isn't really a horse. Did the race, was a lot of fun, and I got, again, 4th, 5th, something like that, couldn't tell, because it doesn't tell you if you don't get top 3. But one of my rewards was a Mini Lunar Gore Dog. I also received 75 Astral Acclaim as part of one of the special objectives of completing the race in under 3.5 minutes, which was nice. Next, I talked to Volok Iron Snout, who explains Dragon Ball to me. He says that he used to be a soldier in Iron Legion, but now does the announcing for Dragon Ball. He says his entire warband is gone, and Finola, a Sylvari standing nearby, took him in. She'd been watching fighters and taking notes at the Bane. Don't know where that is. I'm assuming Guild Wars 1, I don't know. They watched fights together and talked about combat, and finally she took notes because she was making a combat arena to sell. So, he said if she ever sold it, he would be the announcer, so here they are. So, for me, I tried a match, started at like 120 disadvantage, which didn't seem too fair in my mind. We only lost by 40, but I think this would be smart for when you do this, that they don't let people join mid-match. Maybe that has issues because if you're a team that's behind, I don't know, but it felt a little weird to basically show up at the handicap of 120. Didn't like that personally. The second match I did, we lost literally by a millisecond. It was 490 to 490. I literally shot something out of my weapon, or like whatever one was on your keyboard, and right before it hit their enemy, boom, we lost. I was like, I'm addicted. So, played again, and on my 4th match, did get my first win. Put it on my social media if you want to check it out. I got 75 Astral Acclaim for playing a Dragon Ball arena match. Really, really, really enjoyed it. And what I wanted to do at this point was play our Tyrion transmission, which is something I'm going to do. But the original sound clip, the original audio clip of dialogue, is actually between these two characters, Finola and Volok Iron Snout. It was the very first thing I heard when I showed up to Lunar New Year, but it's never played again since. And when I say it's never played again since, I really mean it. I tried recording on 3 separate times, standing and dancing, waiting for them to say this specific dialogue for a total of about, 80 minutes? I'm not exaggerating. And they never did it again. So, I know, kind of anticlimactic. I'm going to give you kind of the runner-up, but this is going to be this episode's Tyrion transmission, where I play something from the game audio-wise that really catches my eye, or I should say catches my ear.
Cannot parse message. Please restate.
The Dragon Ball Arena is open for battle. Win prizes.
And beat your enemies without mercy. Fun for all ages.
Except children, folks. There's no children allowed. I thought I made that clear.
When I was their age, I was punching hyenas to death. For fun.
That explains much.
So like I said, that is this week's Tyrion transmission. The one I wanted to play, I'm going to read for you. It's not going to have quite the same pizzazz, but I want you to hear it in the event that you don't get to hear it in-game, because I just love the writing, and I love kind of the character revealing in the dialogue. So it's between Finola and Volok Iron Snout, and it starts with Finola. She says, "I've been listening to you. I finally understand how to appeal to the crowd. All right, maggots, if you don't like our Dragon Ball, you can vomit and die." Volok says, "Yeah, that's telling... Wait, hold on. Yeah, Dragon Ball. Get your faces kicked in and your lungs stomped on. Whoa, time out. Back off, I'm on a roll. Smack your opponent in the head with his own arms. Rain it in, rain it in. Blood everywhere, buckets of it, and corpses. So many corpses. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Folks, none of that will happen to you. My friend here, she's a little excitable. Yeah, kill them all. Okay, Gladiator, let's take a break." And that was today's Masterpiece Theater, performed by Winkari. Obviously much better by the actors in-game, but if you have a chance to sit there and listen to it, boy, chef's kiss. I digress, let's move on. Next, I did Celestial Challenge, which was a series of mini-events like killing champions, capturing and holding points, and bringing items to certain locations. I liked it. I really like that there's a lot of variety to how you do it with a group of people. I also liked how you incentivize to do more for higher rewards each round, and at the end you get to open the amount of chests for the amount of lucky aura that you have. This also conveniently gave me 75 astral acclaim under my special objectives. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, for opening the final chest of the Celestial Challenge. After this, I noticed that there were firecrackers scattered across this part of Divinity's Reach. So after finding all 10, I received an achievement and 8 little lucky envelopes. Next, I learned there's a firecrack lighting kind of mini-game. Actually, there's 2 of them that you do that are spread all across the city. So I did it. Got all 12 in 6 minutes and 48 seconds, which only got me bronze, but I wasn't really rushing it to do it a second time, so I was thinking, like, maybe I'll do this again next year. And after I realized that there were 2 types of these events in different locations, I wasn't really incentivized, because, again, they were super, super far away until a little bit later, of course. Next, I came across Celestial Pigs. Interesting. That's not a thing you hear every day. Celestial pigs that wanted different donations of food ingredients or trophies in exchange for, quote, good fortune, but I didn't have any. And this actually reminded me of living in Japan. This is a true story. My family and I lived in Japan for about 6 months. And they have temples there that operate in the new year very similar to this, where you can pay and get little pieces of paper or little kind of knickknacks of sorts that might bring you good luck on a specific thing you might want in life. So if you want good luck in your job or relationship, etc., that's how it works. Next, I came across Droopert's Ghost, which, if you remember, was in the Winter's Day event. They're back. This time he wanted donations of luck. Gave him the few that I had. He said thank you, but nothing happened, so I'm assuming this is achievement-oriented, not quite sure. I finished off the event. It's kind of where things come full circle for me by completing the annual New Year Customs achievement. Look this one up. You have to complete 6 Lunar New Year achievements. The most tedious one was buying and setting off 100 fireworks, which seemed like overkill since you have to equip it. You can't just say, like, use all in your inventory. You have to use individually and then press 1 in your action bar 100 times. Yeah, a little overkill. Did this the 100 times, and then I guess one of the nice byproducts of this was that I did receive a mini lunar shepherd dog for opening 88 of them. Apparently that's tied to an achievement as well. Other than that, I did go back and do one of the firecracker across town ones where you have to do it in a specific time. It was actually kind of fun once I figured out the route that I wanted to do. And then there was another one where I had to run the race instead of using a mount. I don't know who came up with that. That's a little odd. I'm not sure what's the incentive for running a race instead of using our mount, but that's it. So, let's move on to the overall verdict for Lunar New Year. I did like Lunar New Year. My favorite event was Dragon Ball Arena specifically. I really enjoyed how simple the mechanics were, how easy it is to pick up and play. There's enough kind of chance to kind of offset the really skilled players and the not-so-skilled players. The thing I like least about the event is that it seems to be predicated on grinding out the few events that it has, all for the purpose of getting the lantern letter thingies to open for RNG items. And for me, I'm just not much of a grindy player. If you're a huge RNG grind type player, this might be one of your more favorite things. Overall, Lunar New Year felt like a Diet Coke version of Winter's Day. Like nice, but not quite as nice as Winter's Day. I would have loved to have seen a Lunar New Year themed jumping puzzle and some sort of dungeon event as well. That would have been nice. And also, like Winter's Day, I would have liked to see more Lunar New Year type decorations and events outside Divinity's Reach. All of that being said, my grade for Lunar New Year is a B. And with that, our time together comes to a close. Make sure you listen all the way through to the end for bloopers. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to keep traveling with me, be sure to follow the journey wherever you listen. I'd also very much appreciate it if you could rate and review the podcast. That really helps with discoverability. And if you write a review, I'll even read it on the show. Which, speaking of, we have a new one.
What a nice surprise.
Well, it's not exactly a review, but it's the next best thing. On Spotify, they don't really allow you to leave written reviews, but you can leave comments. And that's just what this is. Ryan Keller comments, great production. Can't wait to listen to more. Ryan, thank you so much for that comment. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate every one of you listening. You can also find me on other social media like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the newly added Threads at GW Journey Pod. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, you can email me at gwjourneypod@gmail.com. Special thanks to ArenaNet for our in-game music and sound as always, and to you for listening. I'll see you next time when the journey continues. The name's escaping me. E-B. First is Lunar New Year. Black lighting. Boy. Gem store purchases. Speaking of, we next get ambushed. That's a new one. Between the Skrit